You thought your DDoS attacks would succeed, but they cannot. You thought you could beat us. You cannot. You can only hope to contain us and fail.
All right, so lots of things have happened this week. I don't think this is going to work with this dog situation here. I'm watching the dog because Pistol's out of town. I'm not like an animal person in the least. I don't even know what to do with this thing. What are you doing? How do I control this thing? It doesn't come with instructions, Wendell. I don't know what to do with it.
Is there a remote?
I didn't see a remote or anything, and I can't find the panel on its back, so I was gonna like just shut it off like you do with data or whatever. But apparently this is a real dog?
Apparently a binder clip on the back of a cat's neck works to shut it down.
A binder clip on the back of the neck?
Yeah, on the back of a cat's neck, it's a shut-off switch for a cat.
Alright, so thanks for watching the Halloween episode. It's freaking spooky around here, right? Because it's spooky. I don't know why. Why is it spooky? Alright, we have a winner for the ASUS GTX 970 Strix GPU and the ASUS ROG Swift monitor. Here he is. Dylan, or as you guys know him in the forum, I believe his name is something 3D, Action 3D, or something like that. So anyway, congratulations, dude. We'll be shipping that out to you. And we'll put your home address here on the screen. Get off of me, you beast. Damn wolf. So, speaking of contest, you know who else is having a contest? Timmy from Timmy Tech TV is working together with Joanne Tech Lover and MS Tech. And also, he's working with AMD and Fractal. They're giving away 4 systems. And all you guys need to do to enter is go to contest.timmytechtv.com, and you guys can also watch the video on that. But there are 3 of the systems are going to be APU based, and one of the systems is actually an AMD FX CPU. Nice little gaming rig there. So it's pretty cool that Timmy's doing that. Wanted to give you guys a heads up so you guys can maybe jump in there and win it. All right, let's skip the potatoes and get right down to the meat, shall we? A new report came out from a private company called MLab, and what they were trying to figure out, hey, everyone's been screaming that Comcast and Verizon and all the other ISPs, AT&T, CenturyLink, Time Warner, all these companies, they've all been screaming, hey, they are throttling Netflix and other, online services. And until now, there hasn't been a real study that has proven anything. It's just been pretty concrete. Could we call it concrete speculation? Is that a thing? Now we have concrete evidence, but it was pretty. It was like concrete speculation. Now we have concrete evidence. I'll go ahead and let you talk about this for a minute, Wendell.
I'll read the quote that sums it up because it really doesn't get any better than this. The problem is novel and complicated, but the MLab data is unassailable. The problem is harming consumers, and internet connectivity has been damaged for millions of users for months at a time with no consequences for the actors that caused the problems. If the FCC ever needed clear evidence of consumer and business harm, here it is. So this goes beyond the FTC. The FCC. This is getting into the FTC category. This is getting into congressional investigation territory. AT&T was broken up in the 80s over less than this.
And now that we have smoking gun type evidence, do you think that the FCC seems to be doing almost nothing? They kind of watch everything that's going on. And then if things get really out of hand, they release some statements to the public, and they're like, oh, here's some statements for the public so you guys can feel good and all that kind of stuff. But they never actually do anything. And it seems like whenever they do something, it's not for the public. Especially Tom Wheeler. Whenever he barks, to me, it just feels like he's barking so that the ISPs will cough up more donations or cough up more money to throw at him, or cough up more, just write him a check. I think that's what he's doing. He's almost like... he's like the head of the mob. He runs around and he's like, we keep you guys safe. We let you guys have your little monopolies in different areas of the world. What do you do for me? I need to wet my beak. And, whenever he feels like, things aren't, he's not getting enough money. He just barks a little bit, and then they cough up more money. But it's not for us, even though it may seem like it is. So I feel like the FCC is just kind of not going to work. Do you think the FTC can come in and do something?
It will take the FTC or a congressional investigation or something like that. But clearly, this is an antitrust situation. And what the report concludes is that, if Time Warner and Comcast merge, it's going to be even more anti-consumer because one company controls so many things. You see the term the eyeball network. And so the report clearly shows that the eyeball network generated its own traffic. So like the traffic that ISPs complain about is very plainly stated in this report that the traffic came from the subscribers trying to use the service that the ISP is selling in the first place. And so it's a little bit of a catch-22. So the ISP is like it's saying, it's like, well, we don't have the service available unless somebody on the other side also pays us for it. So it's clearly a case of double dipping, which is what we've been saying all along. None of this is really news. But what was news in this is that the data shows that other third-party actors have been harmed, and because of the ISP's actions in this matter, because of the way that they've chosen to handle this, other people who their traffic happens to take the same link suffered right there along with Netflix, and so millions of users suffered for months and are still suffering. And the actors that are responsible for this have not been held accountable. And indeed, even if you get into net neutrality versus not net neutrality, net neutrality isn't really what we're talking about here. I mean, net neutrality could be bent to maybe be this, but strictly speaking, this doesn't even have anything to do with net neutrality. It's just how an ISP is really treating its subscriber base, and that's really all it is. They are essentially holding their customers as captives to prevent them from using other businesses, and any attempt to spin it as anything other than that is really just lip service, and that's the crime here.
All right, let's quickly check out our sponsor. This time we're going to talk about Squarespace. Now, we use them for our store because it's all about the content. It puts the content forward, and that's what really matters here. The content. We're trying to create our identity on the internet, and they've made it very easy for us. If we want to go ahead and add a color, add a size, it's just add different options. It's just super easy. Integrates with ShipStation in the back end. Now we're now on Squarespace 7, and the same philosophy is applied here. They want the tools to kind of get out of the way so that you can really create the site that you want. They've streamlined everything and made it just very easy to create sites on the fly. And above and beyond that, they've improved their mobile app so that you can just use Android or iOS. And there you go. Go ahead, edit, create, check your analytics, add images, blog, whatever. You can pretty much create your entire site from your mobile device if you wanted to. If you're a developer, you're going to have Git access, so you can get in there and mess with everything. It's not just a website full of flashy templates that lock you into a certain thing. You can get in there and do everything if you want to. But if you want to go fast and just get things done, you can do that as well. Some of you guys out there need some professional images. Well, now a couple of clicks will get you a Getty image. Cover pages is also new, and the idea here is sometimes you only need one page. So there it is. There's your one-page ID. Very simple and clean. There's now integration with Google Apps for email, docs, spreadsheets, everything. So check that out. I mentioned that they were listening to the audience for feedback and template ideas. They've also partnered with some of the quote-unquote world's most inspiring people. And check this out. This is Alex Hanold. He's one of the best free solo climbers in the world. He needs a nice, clean, and simple website. But here he is free soloing up the side of the granite at Yosemite. Very, very cool to watch. I mean, even the behind the scenes is kind of unbelievable on this. So I think it's cool that they're doing stuff like this. But you guys can go down and get the template that they designed with him in mind, and then customize it to your heart's content. Someone else that they partner with is St. Luca. He does pop. I'm not familiar with his music, but you guys could check out that template as well. So there's a lot of new templates and a lot of new things that you guys can do with Squarespace. Keeps growing, keeps getting better, keeps getting more robust, and yet at the same time, it's not getting clunky and it's not getting in the way. It's all about staying out of the way so your content is forward. It's all about staying away so that the user experience on the back end is streamlined. So that's Squarespace. Now back to the regularly scheduled tech. There's a lot of municipalities who have been resisting the whole Comcast Time Warner merger thing, and I feel like every week that we mention it, there's more and more. We don't have any articles about this, but I just saw that now it's like almost 60 different municipalities who are just saying absolutely not. Started with Lexington, Kentucky, and a few other places, so that's pretty awesome. I think somewhere in Maine, and I forget where else, but a lot of
New York.
New York City.
Well, yeah, New York said that if this is going to go through, then state housing, like the subsidized housing or whatever, needs to have free internet. So, I guess the subsidized, like the free housing, like the low income housing, whatever that is if this merger is going to go through, then they've got to agree to provide free cable, which sounds, if you're like, staunch capitalism, that might sound crazy, but the reality is most cable franchises already mandate some level of free service for cable television and cable internet in a lot of regions. So, most of the time it's for schools. Sometimes it's for low income housing. It's a little hit and miss with low income housing, but New York's just looking to shore up those agreements to be like, all right, well, we get free cable TV and free internet, not just for schools, but also low income housing and that kind of thing.
I guess we'll go ahead into this article right now. Let's take a look at SugarString. Verizon has decided that they're going to create their own technology news website. Why would they do that? Well, they've got a lot of resources, so they can actually make this a thing. And I just don't understand why they would do this. It's not a very lucrative market, creating a technology website. In fact, most technology websites that I can think of are probably in the red, and including websites like The Verge and stuff. I'm sure that took a lot of money to get something like that started. And right now they're probably turning a profit, but not a huge one. So they've decided to create their own. And I think the idea here is to, they want to appear to be a normal, nice technology, news website. But they're disallowing all talk of like ISP spying and that sort of thing. Basically everything we talk about, you're not allowed to talk about it there. You can't talk about the NSA. You can't talk about the ISPs abusing their power. Any of that, all that stuff is completely off the table. So
I know you guys get annoyed because we always talk about that, but there's always new stuff happening about that, and you guys need to know. And if you guys, I grew up in a coal mining community, and so the analogy was always the canary in the coal mine. And so what it was is when there's a canary in the coal mine and the canary starts freaking out, you need to get the hell out of there because something bad is in the air. You're going to breathe gas that you can't smell, and you're going to pass out and die. And so we're kind of like the canary in the coal mine. And when everybody stops talking about that, it's too late. The canary's dead. You're dead. If no one's talking about it, then it's already it's already over. And so there are news sites that are just there are always backroom deals, but they're upfront being like, we're not going to talk about any of that. It's like, holy crap! And there's going to be a ton of comments that are like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing about all that crap. And it's like, I'm sorry. No, you don't get to stop hearing about that because it's really important.
Let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's go through their main page. I read this article, just how terrible is Hungary's proposed internet tax. And I actually agree with them. And I want to say, hey, people in Hungary, go have a beer because the tax is not a thing. And you guys helped to make it not a thing by protesting. So good job for raising your voices, letting them be heard. That would have been really bad because not only would the internet tax in Hungary have been devastating to users, to ISPs, to companies that rely upon the internet, it would have been really, really, really bad for all the neighboring countries and just other countries who look at that and be like, we can get away with this as well if they could do it in Hungary. And so thanks for making a lot of noise and making this not a thing. But anyway, I agree with that. Let's see, GPS tracking. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just like whatever. They don't agree with something Neil deGrasse Tyson says. I haven't read that. They're talking about why the future of anonymous browsing lies in hardware, and maybe this is a misleading article here because that's not something that you should be getting if you want to be anonymous on the internet. Anyway, I guess we'll leave that alone and let you guys talk about it in the comments. Let's move on and talk about YouTube's subscription fee. So YouTube is thinking about introducing a subscription fee, and this right now that they have this enabled for a lot of different channels. You can either donate to the channel, or you can like right now we have the ability to make our channel an exclusive subscription only channel. So I think we should probably go ahead and do that, right, Wendell? That way all
That would be amazing.
that way all the trolls just go away, and we have like 12 people who are giving us $10 a month. We'll be able to buy a sandwich. And anyway, so that's working out. We're not going to do that, by the way, guys. We're going to be free. YouTube decided that they're going to now start offering a paid tier for people who want to experience YouTube without ads. So here's what I started thinking about. I was like, well, you know what? I bet somewhere in the Google offices they sat back and they're like, we got a big problem, and that is that everyone is using ad block. So what are we going to do about ad block? We should be kind of relaxed and groovy about ad block, but all of our videos are playing. It's killing our bandwidth, and the people that are using ad block are basically using and abusing our service and getting away scot-free. So I think they sat down and looked at that, and they said, you know what if we make it so that you really can't do anything with ad block? If ad block's on, it's going to pop up and say, ooh, you're using ad block, don't do that. But there's a paid subscription model. That's what I think is going to happen. Mark my words. Whenever this starts, YouTube is going to get very difficult to use with ad block on. And I saw some idiots in the comments down there like, haha, screw you, YouTube. I already win this one because I'm using ad block. I don't watch your crappy ads, and it's free. They're not stupid. They're not stupid. They know that people are using ad block. So that's what I think. I don't know. Do you think that they're smart enough for that?
I think that this is a convenient way that Google will find a way to find a value add, a way to have value adds to their paid service that's beyond just what you would get from using ad block. So I think that this could be a valuable service. I mean, just if I knew that if I signed into my Google account and I don't see any ads on the entire Google network, and that were a reasonably small amount of money, I would probably do that. I would be more inclined to trust Gmail if I could opt out of whatever their advertising policies are and just give them money for that. I don't suspect that that'll ever really be the case. I suspect that even if you're not getting ads, they are still data mining the absolute living crap out of you, which I'm not comfortable with. But we'll see where it goes.
All right, well, we started off by talking about ISPs, and now we're going to go back to ISPs for some more WTF action, a little ISP WTF going on here. The Verizon perma-cookies are a thing. So what Verizon's been doing is they've been inserting code into any, unencrypted, traffic, any just standard traffic that you have on the internet. And what they do is they have a string that identifies you and gives them some information, so that way they can track you. So here are the different ways that they're invading the privacy there. Of course, they're tracking you on the internet. It's a perma-cookie that kind of follows you around. You can't really opt out of it yet. Maybe somewhere soon there'll be a way to opt out of it because people are yelling and screaming about it. And they're also making this available to third parties. They're using it to track you for marketing purposes and that sort of thing. But the other thing that's weird is they are inserting this code into code that comes from other websites. You go to a website that's not encrypted, they can just insert this code right into the actual page that's spit out by the browser, and you don't even know it's there, but it's there in the background. So they're altering the code from these different websites. It's not going to happen on our website because we have SSL enabled, and other websites that have that, it's not going to be a thing there either. But most of the web is not using SSL. So
this is like, I don't know, UPS opening up your email and being like, let's see what you're doing, and just go ahead and log it into a database, and so that everybody knows what your mail, the packages that you're sending and receiving. If this were physical mail, this would never be allowed. You are not allowed to mess with the mail in transit. There's no similar protection for packets. The fact that they're modifying your traffic in a way that the websites you're visiting can see is really, really bad. This should be the most illegal thing on the face of the planet. This is wrong. It's not just Verizon, it's AT&T. They've been doing it forever.
Yep.
And there was a follow-up article, and there was a guy who's like, I'm going to opt out of this. And it was the most convoluted, ridiculous opt-out procedure I've ever seen. And the spokesperson from AT&T was like, yeah, well, we will evaluate the feedback on the opt-out process in order to determine how we might improve that. But the guy never was able to actually opt out. It just kept changing his number. And AT&T was like, oh, this is just like clearing cookies. And it's like, no, cookies have nothing to do with it. This is an omnipresent eye spying on you all of the time, and somehow that's okay. It's like, oh, you can opt out, but you can't really opt out. This should be this is crazy. This is absolutely unacceptable.
All right, I think I'm going to skip the next article just because I can't deal with all this stupid ISP stuff. But if you guys want to take a look at it and more crazy ISP stuff, this is so good. I kind of want to talk about it, but I'll leave it alone. Comcast is paying $50 million in a settlement to this long antitrust suit. Okay, fine. I'm going to talk about it just because of one reason. They're almost getting away, scot-free because most of the settlement is being paid back in like specials, or giving people coupons and stuff like that. Like, oh, you know what? It's $50 million, but you could just give people some coupons and everybody will be okay. That dog is going crazy. Umbra, get in here. So here's what's crazy about this, and what could be possibly very interesting about this. They were sued, they went to court, and they lost based upon antitrust. So we've been screaming antitrust for a long time, and now Comcast has actually lost a case that says that they, had, a monopoly, and they were colluding against, the customers basically. So they've lost a lawsuit now. So could this be a precedent for future things? I don't know.
Did they really lose though? They only lost $50 million, and this was in the courts for 11 years. For a company as large as Comcast, that is a calculated risk, and they won. Like, even though they lost the court case, this is not a loss.
They did lose a case that, said that it was an antitrust case. So, couldn't that possibly carry over? Couldn't other cases crop up now and say, like, hey, look, they lost this antitrust case. Clearly that court looked at all the evidence, even though it was 11 years worth, and found in favor of the people. I don't know. Don't you think that it could be a precedent for future cases?
The type of law firm that can handle an antitrust case is a serious law firm. And the law firm only making about $5 million a year off of the case with no guarantee of payoff in court for 10 years, it is exceedingly unlikely one of these huge law firms would take that on for $50 million in 10 years. If it were $500 million in 10 years, yes, absolutely, law firms would absolutely take that on. But lawyers make enough money that this is not going to be an attractive case to them, because Comcast is going to tie it up for 10 years or 11 years or whatever it happens to be. And at the end of it, if you win, which is a big if, you will get $50 million, which is about $5 million. And a large firm, if you've got a bunch of partners working on it and staff and things like that, $5 million really doesn't go very far over a decade.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over and start talking about the Pirate Bay. We're going to talk about the RIAA, but this is really funny. The RIAA just submitted a long list of quote-unquote rogue websites to the U.S. government. And, of course, the Pirate Bay, among a lot of others that I can just scroll down here and show you guys the list. All these websites here, we're all on the list. And what's really funny is, they didn't just say, like, hey, these websites are sharing copyrighted material. What they said was that they are trying to protect the public. They're trying to be like this superhero. It's really kind of funny. And I'll quote here from their letter. They said, we must end this assault on our humanity and the misappropriation of fundamental human rights. So I just want to say right now, thank you very much, RIAA. I'm so glad that you guys are out there looking out for us. I did not realize that the Pirate Bay was abusing me. I didn't realize that I had lost so many human rights. But now that you guys are looking out for me, I feel a lot better. So thanks a lot, RIAA. Yeah, I guess we can just move on from that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Skipping that article. Let's talk about this new fiber optic network that was developed at UCF, actually, University of Central Florida, and also Eindhoven University of Technology. I think that's in Germany, but I'm not 100% sure. Netherlands. All right, so they've developed a new type of fiber optic cable that's capable of transferring 1 terabit in 3 milliseconds. That's 255 terabit per second. We don't have any storage medium that can deal with that right now, but that's going to be, so far, they say that that is good enough to transfer all of the information on the internet through one cable. The only problem is it's actually a new type of cable. What's that?
Well, think transatlantic cables. Think neighborhood cables. It's like We need to give internet access to the Upper East Side. I'm going to need one of those strands in order to be able to do it. Oh, I'm sorry, two
Yeah.
if you want duplex. Although you can do duplex on different frequencies of light. So
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, fiber optic is the like 100-year infrastructure, but this is not the standard fiber optics. You can continue to upgrade existing fiber optics, for a long time. It's got a lot of life left in it, and probably more than any of us are going to need for the next few years anyway, until we have like 8K streaming video all the time. But
if
yeah,
only we had some sort of fiber infrastructure.
Yeah, if only. Wait a minute, there's dark fiber everywhere. Hold the. All right. Anyway, so yeah, this would be really good for transatlantic cables. The other problem that we have with this now is it's not easy to mass produce, and also there's no routers for this kind of stuff or anything like that. It's like, what do we plug it into when we get it on the other side? I don't know. So yeah, we're gonna have to develop boxes of knowledge just for that, which will be fun.
Those are good problems to have, though.
Yeah, they really are. Let's talk about Magic Leap.
Unlike, let's see how we can send signals down copper. Yeah, it's like, just give up.
You got AT&T and Comcast. They're working together right now on spaghetti, because they found that the price of spaghetti is so low that they're able to run spaghetti to every home in America for a fraction of the cost of fiber. Now they're just trying to figure out how to send a current through spaghetti. That's the problem. So there may be a bit of a wait. Until then, however, we have amazing 4G antennas that we can put on your rooftop. So until we get the spaghetti working, you can have 4G. There we go. That was a message from AT&T and Verizon and Time Warner and all the other bastards. All right, Magic Leap. What on earth is this? So I guess this would be a little bit of a fun thing to talk about. Right now, there are a few people out there trying to solve the problem of screens. And I didn't even think that screens were a problem, but when you look into the future, screens are big, they're bulky. The happiest day of my life was when I got rid of my TV years and years, like 14, 15 years ago, because it was bulky, it took up a lot of space, and it emitted a lot of light into the room and heat. I switched it out for a projector not long ago. I don't have one right now, but it was nice because you could just pull it down from the ceiling, but there was still a screen there. So Magic Leap is a technology that apparently does some magic voodoo that no one actually knows exactly what it does. I mean, they're manipulating light fields and that sort of thing. But right now, what they're really doing is they're securing a ton of funding from companies like Google. They've raised $542 million so far, and they've been valuated at $2 billion. So
wow,
they haven't even really shown not to the public. They haven't shown us what it looks like, So it's basically holograms that you project into the air, and then there's maybe some sensors that detect what you're looking at, so it can change the shape of the hologram or something like that. But I mean, this would be able to. Go ahead.
It doesn't pass the sniff test, but Google has an investment arm, and it wasn't the Google investment arm that invested in this. It was Google proper, the corporate Google. So the people in Google must have seen something that was like, holy crap, we must have this. So, it makes sense after the whole like Oculus Rift Facebook thing, because I think Facebook and Google were competing to buy Oculus Rift, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yep. And there's other companies working on this right now as far as, just moving away from the screen. And one of the other technologies that we're seeing, haptic holographic display. So here's one from Haptomime, which is a kind of a silly name, but this is the name of the display, the Haptomime display. I'll go ahead and play this video. I have to refresh the page. But what they do is they use like hypersonic pulses to give you haptic feedback on something that's not even there. So you've got like a little holographic thing that comes up into the air, and then as you're like typing on it, you actually feel there's a tangible bump, and they can even control that to make it feel different depending on what you're touching. If you're touching a button, it'll be like a little bump. If you're hitting a piano key, it can almost feel like a piano key. So that could go a long way to solving, the problem of having screens everywhere. Right now, it seems like the technology demo here, it looks like that you have to have it in some sort of a little enclosure here that can project everything. It's not something that you can just project above your desk or whatever. But I mean, the cool part's going to be when you can just get a desk that has icons and stuff that just float up in the air, and you can touch them and all that sort of thing. Let me get to the part where they're playing the piano here. It's pretty cool. And there you can see they even have a little bit of a visual feedback, a little bit of a bump and a jolt. So very interesting. The Haptomime from the University of Tokyo.
This might be a good solution for not having fingerprints on a touchscreen, which drives me insane.
Yeah, I mean, other than the oleophobic coating that some of the manufacturers are using, but yeah. And also, something else that would be great about this? If they started to incorporate this into places where security is paramount, there wouldn't be any heat signatures left over on the buttons. So that would be a more secure way to do PIN numbers and that sort of thing. All right. What else we got to talk about here? All right, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence for a little bit. There are several articles that have come out this week. Google is putting a lot of course, money and time into artificial intelligence. IBM has Watson, and Watson is on like version 90 right now. I don't know. They keep making new iterations of Watson, but Watson basically is massively parallel, and it continues to learn. But all the articles out this week are just talking about systems that continue to learn from the data that's put into them. And, Google is not a search engine. They're a company that's building an AI, and they're doing it using their search engine as a backend. If you look at everything they're doing, they're allowing the search engine to learn based upon all the searches that you guys do. So every time you guys do a search, it learns a little more. So that's really what's going on behind the scenes. And, even 10 years ago, the CEO, or the guys in charge, not sure if it was the CEO, let me see where it says here. The guys in charge of Google, even 10 years ago, when people were saying like, oh, you guys are a search engine company, they were like, no, we're an artificial intelligence company. They were saying we're an AI company. So the thing that's interesting about all these articles that have come out, and I'm not sure what started the frenzy, they're all talking about artificial intelligence, but this seems to me that they're just talking about learning computers. These computers are not yet self-aware. So I'm not sure if it's anything new in all these articles, but when we get something like this that learns at this rate, that is also self-aware, then that's when we got that's when we have true artificial intelligence. Right now, I feel like we have very smart learning software. I don't know. Am I wrong there?
No, it's totally the case that you get into a situation with the artificial intelligence that you don't necessarily want to talk about how it's made. It's almost like, from these companies' perspective, it's almost a bit like making sausage. Sausage is delicious. AI is going to be great, maybe, if these companies can learn how to leverage it and, do all this kind of stuff. But they really don't want to talk about all the things that have to go into making it, because there are unpleasant aspects to it in terms of the data sets that it's using. So a few years ago, an example of that was Google was using the videos on YouTube to train an AI to find cats. And they didn't really just want to find cats, but they wanted to see if they could do what's called unsupervised learning. And unsupervised learning is that a human is not training the AI is sort of learning on its own. And they did amazingly well with that. And so they also had trained it to recognize body parts and images of faces and things like that, in terms of classifying those types of videos and where those things were in videos. And so that was years ago, and now they're sort of being a little less tight-lipped with some of the things that they've developed. But if we really knew all the details, our brains would probably melt, because it's probably something really scary. And when they come up with something like that's what Elon Musk is afraid of, is that some company is going to come up with the AI and they're going to have it, in a cage, and it's like, all right, do all these hideously evil things for us. And the AI is going to say, okay, because the AI doesn't have a concept of evil. It has no morality. It's just going to do whatever it's told.
It needs to go to church, because that's where morality comes from.
It's not going to have any concept of morality. It's just going to carry out orders.
That'll be fun. All right, let's go ahead and talk about Google's. They're doing all kinds of things. So they've got Google X, and what they're doing right now is they're trying to cure pretty much all diseases, and they're trying to do it in a different way. So they have developed these tiny magnetic nanoparticles, and they're going to be able to put them into your system, and the nanoparticles are really, really small, like 1,000th of the width of a red blood cell. So they're going to be floating around in your system, and then they're going to bind themselves to various molecules to help identify the troubled spots in your body. Then there's going to be like a thing that you wear somewhere on your body that's able to read the magnetic signals. But the bottom line here is that Google's philosophy is that the fundamental foe, or they should say, I'll put it on the screen here, fundamentally, our foe is death. In that voice is how they say it, yes. So I think that's a pretty interesting way to go about things, but it's also really cool to have Google working on things that are, medical in a way, and trying to solve the problem of aging, dying. I mean, we could come to a point where we can live for quite a long time thanks to technology, Google, different things like that. It's been a kind of a melancholy, well, pretty bad actually, more than melancholy week for space travel. We have two disasters here. So there you see Antares, and it went up in flames. Apparently, it wasn't going to be able to make it out of the atmosphere. So before it, went too far and ended up crashing into a populated area, someone pressed a button and destroyed the rocket. That's why the explosion was so violent, because someone initiated the self-destruct sequence. So it was an unmanned rocket, so that's a good thing.
It was delivering supplies to the International Space Station. And they're not going to starve to death or anything. They've got plenty of food.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't have anything funny to say about that. It's not funny, so.
We also lost Spaceship Two, and I think one of the pilots died and the other one was seriously injured.
Did they find him yet? Because the last I read, they just found a parachute somewhere, and they're not sure what's going on.
Yeah, that may not be that's not a confirmed report for sure.
Yeah. So that's from Virgin Galactic Spaceship, and I guess they were doing a test flight. So luckily this happened on a test flight, but in a test flight there still are 2 people on board. So rough day.
This type of thing always reminds me of Isaac Asimov. I mean, he's got I can't remember exactly, but he's got a really great quote that is, in the pursuit of science and in the pursuit of space travel, there are going to be human casualties, and we need to prepare emotionally. And that is no reason not to do the research. I mean, think about all the, when we were making the sailing ship, think about how many people sailed out to sea and, just couldn't comprehend the vast distances between continents and, perished at sea. This is a lot like that. I mean, it's, you feel bad for the people that died and their families, but, with the advancement of mankind, that's no reason not to do it. We go to war and do all this stupid stuff. If we're going to have loss of life, something like that, it would seem that the loss of life is more valuable than in fights over petty resources.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, you ready to move over and talk about gaming?
Let's talk about gaming. Have a little bit more fun.
A little bit. Yeah, let's do that. Let's lighten up a little bit. So it's Halloween. There's all kinds of sales going on. People are buying stuff up on the Steam sale. We've got a number of deals of our own. All you have to do is go to techsyndicate.com/game deals. And the guys at Deals On are nice enough to curate an awesome list for us here. So you see plenty of game deals over at Green Man Gaming and that sort of thing. So just go through here and see if there's anything on the list. Ooh, that's a really good deal. Gauntlet 4-pack on Steam. That'd be the only way I would play that game is with a bunch of people. So I've been kind of waiting for a sale. Now I've gone and sold myself on things. Now I've got to go buy this stuff. All right, so that's interesting. Let's see here. Also, if you guys are playing the Long Dark, that is the game that basically pits you in a very cold area. There's wolves and that sort of thing, and you have to just survive. They've doubled the size of the sandbox style world, so that's pretty cool. Coastal Highway is the region. I haven't played that yet, but I'm sure Pistol will be playing that when she gets back in town, and I'll get to watch her play the Long Dark. Next up, Primal Carnage. Extinction has been announced, and Primal Carnage is an Unreal Engine-based game where you play either on the dinosaurs team or on the team of just, I don't know, a bunch of guys. There's like a ranger and a heavy weapons guy. There's like a bunch of different things. This is supposed to be an expansion, but it's not going to be an expansion now because there's a new team working on it, and looks like they're working on the console a lot. So I guess I'm skeptical about the new team. We'll see what it's like when they bring it out. And I'm also skeptical because they're talking about the console an awful lot in their interviews and stuff. So we'll see how that is. If you guys liked Primal Carnage, keep an eye on this one. Could be interesting. Kind of wish it was just an expansion for the other game, but yeah, that's how it goes. There's video of it. Screw that. Oh yeah, Elite Dangerous. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So Elite Dangerous, if you guys have not seen it, to me, it looks like a very nerdy version of, what's the Chris Roberts game that I can't even... Star Citizen. It looks like a really nerdy version of Star Citizen. You know, Star Citizen is more arcade, and this one is more hardcore. But they seem to have very similar goals. They're trying to create very similar worlds. And you can already go and play Elite Dangerous. They're in beta 3 right now. And the game just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. There's so many things you can do in this game. So if you're someone who really wants a deep space game that has online elements, it's an MMO but in a different kind of way. You can play online and offline. I definitely recommend that you guys go check this out. If you want more of an arcade game, I think I'm kind of looking more forward to Star Citizen just because I like the arcade flight controls and that sort of thing a little bit more. I'm probably going to be happier there, but if you want something a little nerdier, Elite Dangerous could be your thing. All right, what's next on the list? Right now there's an alpha going on for Evolve this weekend, so I think I'm going to go play that right now. You guys probably know what Evolve is, right? I'll probably stream it later, so we'll just, after you guys get finished watching the tech, I'll probably be streaming it. So go check it out. I think that's about it. Anything else left on the list?
I think that's it. It's time to do our next episode of Inbox.
Oh yes,
we
better do that.
We should plug that as well. So, in lieu of the other tech, because audience participation, whatever, go to the site and go to the Inbox forum and ask a question. But it doesn't have to be a technical question. It can also be a question about the news. You know, you can ask, what does the end of quantitative easing mean? I don't understand. Or, you know, Japan is doing the thing with their own quantitative easing. What does that mean? I don't understand. These are not technical questions. I'm giving you terrible ideas.
You know what, technical question, you don't even have to. Sometimes I really enjoy answering questions like, listen, ever since I purchased my Xbox, my wife won't talk to me. What should I do? That is a very good question, and we can definitely solve all of your marital problems, guaranteed, or your money back. You didn't pay anything, did you? Oh, what if someone in tech support is having marital problems? We'll have to give him his money back. I said it. It's too late. We'll have to give you your money back. And don't forget, at the end of every episode of Inbox, there'll be a threat. I always threaten people to, they have to subscribe or else whatever. But those are in the Inbox videos, so yeah.
So you guys should go hang out on the Inbox forum and ask questions. And then if you got, the questions that have a lot of comments or a lot of follow-up or a lot of whatever, we will answer. And so it is basically audience participation. If this gets big enough, I could imagine us actually streaming Inbox and then posting the stream to YouTube for the people that couldn't make the stream. But that'd be fun because the people that ask the questions could show up maybe and be like, oh my God, that's my question.
It's so difficult to stream things because I say so many terrible things that have to be cut. So live censoring is scary, but it's probably a good way to do it.
We have a ton of hardware stuff that we've shot as well. So I've got these workstation builds. We've also got another Dell server video coming up. It's the 2011-3 version of the server we reviewed before, but we've gone from 128 to 256 gigs of RAM. We've upgraded the RAID controller, and we've added 8 more hard drives. And so the hard drive array can now clear 4 gigabytes per second read and 2.5 gigabytes per second write.
It's going to be pretty freaking crazy. Albert's also got a huge list. He made a list of all the videos he wanted to make through the holiday season. Of course, I sat there and approved them all. It's 40 videos, so we'll probably not get to all 40 of them, but we'll try. A lot of them are really, really interesting, cool, good ideas for videos. So, and we've even got some more Android coverage coming up. So the uber nerdy stuff, servers, enterprise grade stuff, and the less nerdy stuff like Android, but from our perspective. Because there's a lot of people out there just I love Android. These things they're pretty. We're not those guys.
For those of you guys that think that we hate on Linux, no, we don't. We just have to hate on it so that it will improve. And I'm right there helping it improve. We've got an X99 workstation build with Linux because we are going to be building Eric S. Raymond's new super Linux workstation based on Socket 2011-3. So if you guys don't know who Eric S. Raymond is, he wrote The Cathedral and the Bazaar. He's the maintainer of Emacs, and if you don't know what Emacs is, you should go learn about Emacs because Emacs is amazing. I prefer VI, but we'll let him live.
You had to go there. You already lost everybody with Emacs. I'm sure not our audience, but any regular person, you Emacs right over their head, and then you had to go with VI. You had to.
VI is better for one reason. It has a built-in digital assistant named Vigor.
Oh man, I'll give you $1 if you can learn VI in a week. All right, that's enough of that. Ooh, I just created a temporal vortex. So, Captain, I believe that is the end of the show. A temporal vortex is opened. Off heading 224. I'm just goofing off at this point. I really should go do other things. All right, everybody. We will see you later. I made you wait for it. So, yeah, hold on. God damn it, the dog is ringing the doorbell. That means it has to go outside. This is so... Oh, she wants up here so bad. I know you miss... I know you miss her. It's okay.